Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and remember, context is everything. Thank you for joining me here on the Ambient Classroom, episode 51. I'm reading this textbook cover to cover in order to build my historical context. My name is John Michael, and I'm happy to have you along. If you're willing to listen, that's wonderful. Please do so, and feel free to speed up the recording. You're on YouTube or Rumble, and so I think you have the ability on both platforms to speed up the reading. I'm going to jump right into it because we're starting a new chapter, chapter 10. And this is chapter 10 about the Byzantine Empire. Byzantine meaning Constantinople, meaning the Eastern Roman Empire. Started in 303 AD, and we're going to study until the 1600s in this chapter. But Byzantine Empire, Constantinople, all that starts in 303. Let's get right into it. Let's go. Setting the scene. Chapter 10.1. The bazaars at Constantinople awed visitors. Benjamin of Tudela, a Jewish traveler from Spain, saw merchants from their Middle East, Egypt, and Eastern Europe. The city's daily income, he noted, with the rent from the shops and markets and taxes levied on merchants, coming by sea and by land, reaches 20,000 gold pieces. As the cities of the Western Roman Empire crumbled, Constantinople prospered. With its high walls and golden domes, it stood as a proud capital of the Byzantine Empire. First heading is the growth of Byzantine power. You will recall that as German invaders pounded the Roman Empire in the west, emperors shifted their base to eastern Mediterranean. The Emperor Constantine built the Greek city of Byzantium and gave it the name Constantinople. I don't know what that means. Constantine built the Greek city of Byzantium and gave it the name Constantinople. I guess he finished building a city called Byzantium and he said, now it's called Constantinople because my name's Constantine and I'm the emperor. In 330, he made Constantinople the new capital of the empire. From this new Rome, roads fanned out to the Balkans, to the Middle East, and to North Africa. In time, the Eastern Roman Empire became known as Byzantine Empire. Constantinople, subheading. Constantinople, the vital center of the empire, was Constantinople. The city was located on the shores of the Bosporus, a strait that linked the Mediterranean and Black Seas. Constantinople had an excellent harbor and was guarded by 3 sides of water. Later emperors built an elaborate system of land and sea walls to bolster defenses. Equally important, Constantinople commanded key trade routes linking Europe and Asia. For centuries, the city's favorable location made it Europe's busiest marketplace. There, merchants sold silks from China, wheat from Egypt, gems from India, spices from Southeast Asia, and furs from Viking lands in the north. At the center of the city, Byzantine emperors and empresses lived in glittering splendor. Dressed in luxurious silk, they attended chariot races at the hippodrome, an arena built in the 200s. Crowds cheered wildly as rival charioteers careened their vehicles around and around. The spectacle was another reminder of the city's glorious Roman heritage. A blending of cultures. After rising to spectacular heights, the Byzantine Empire eventually declined to small area around Constantinople itself. Yet, it was still in existence nearly 1,000 years after the fall of the Roman Empire. As the heir to Rome, it promoted a brilliant civilization that blended ancient Greek, Roman, and Christian influences with other traditions of the Mediterranean world. The age of Justinian. The Age of Justinian. New heading. Age of Justinian. The Byzantine Empire reached its greatest size under the Emperor Justinian, who ruled from 527 to 565. Justinian was determined to revive ancient Rome by recovering the provinces that had been overrun by invaders. Led by the brilliant general Belisarius, Byzantine armies reconquered North Africa, Italy, and southern Spain. The fighting exhausted Justinian's treasury and weakened his defenses in the east. In the end, the victories were temporary. Justinian's successors lost bitterly contested lands. Hagia Sophia. Subheading under the Age of Justinian. Hagia Sophia. Justinian left a more lasting monument in his buildings. To restore Roman glory, he launched a program to beautify Constantinople. His great triumph was the Church of Hagia Sophia, or Holy Wisdom. So I would think Hagia is holy, Sophia is wisdom. Interesting, didn't know that. Its immense arching dome improved on earlier Roman buildings. The interior glowed with colored marble and embroidered silk curtains. Seeing this church, the emperor recalled King Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. "Glory to God, who has judged me worthy of accomplishing such work as this," Justinian exclaimed. "O Solomon, I have surpassed you." Code of Laws. Subheading, Code of Laws. Justinian is best remembered for his reforms of law. All the laws of ancient Rome. Early in his reign, he set up a commission to collect, revise, and organize all laws of ancient Rome. The result was the Corpus Juris Civilis, or body of civil law. Popularly known as Justinian's Code, this massive collection included laws passed by Roman assemblies or decreed by Roman emperors, as well as the legal writings of Roman judges and handbook for students. Justinian's Code had an impact far beyond the Byzantine Empire. By the 1100s, it had reached Western Europe. There, both Roman Catholic Church and medieval monarchs modeled their laws on its principles. Centuries later, the code was guided legal thinkers who began to put together the international law in use today. Centuries later, the code also guided legal thinkers who began to put together the international law we use today. Absolute power. We still use Roman law, by the way. That's what I just read. Absolute power. Justinian used the law to unite the empire under his control. He ruled as an autocrat, or a sole ruler with complete authority. The emperor also had the power of the church. He was deemed Christ's co-ruler on earth. As a Byzantine official wrote, "The emperor is equal to all men on earth." As a Byzantine official, oh God in heaven, "The emperor is equal to all men in nature of the body, but in the authority of his rank, he is similar to God, who rules all." That was horrible. Unlike feudal monarchs in Western Europe, he combined both political power and spiritual authority. His control was aided by his wife Theodora, a shrewd politician. She served as advisor and co-ruler to Justinian and even pursued her own policies. Changing fortunes. Still in the age of Justinian. Changing fortunes. In the centuries after Justinian, the fortunes of the empire rose and fell. Attacks by Persians, Slavs, Vikings, Mongols, and Turks were largely unsuccessful. The empire thus served as a buffer for Western Europe. Beginning in the 600s and 700s, however, Arab armies gained control of much of the Mediterranean world. Constantinople itself withstood their attacks, but the Byzantines held on to their heartland in the Balkans and Asia Minor. The empire's greatest strengths came from a strong central government and a prosperous economy. Peasants formed the backbone of the empire, working on the land, paying taxes, and providing soldiers for the military. In the cities of the empire, trade and industry flourished. While Western Europe was reduced to a barter economy, the Byzantine Empire preserved a healthy money economy. The Byzant, the Byzantine gold coin stamped with the emperor's image, circulated from England to China. Byzantine Christianity. Heading: Byzantine Christianity. Christianity was as influential in the Byzantine Empire as it was in Western Europe, but religious division grew between the two regions. Differences: East and West. Eastern Roman Empire, Western Roman Empire. But at this point now it's just Eastern Roman Empire, now known as the Byzantine Empire, and Europe. Differences: East and West. Since early Christian times, differences had emerged over church leadership. Although the Byzantine emperor was not a priest, he controlled church affairs and appointed the patriarch, or highest church official, in Constantinople. Byzantine Christians rejected the Pope's claims to authority over all Christians. So you have the Pope in the Roman Catholic Church, and you have the patriarch in the Byzantine Church, which we'll later learn is called Greek Orthodox. Further differences developed. Unlike priests in Western Europe, the Byzantine clergy kept their right to marry. Greek, not Latin, was the language of the Byzantine Church. The chief Byzantine holy day was Easter, celebrated as the day Jesus rose from the dead. In contrast, the Western Christians placed a greater emphasis on Christmas, the birthday of Jesus. Subheading: Schism. Schism. During the Middle Ages, two branches of Christianity drew further apart. A dispute over the use of icons, or holy images, contributed to the split. Many Byzantine Christians prayed to images of Christ, the Virgin Mary, and the saints. In the 700s, however, a Byzantine emperor outlawed the veneration of icons, saying it violated God's commandment against worshipping graven images. Jeez, my eyes don't feel right. The ban set off violent battles within the empire. From the west, the Pope took a hand in the dispute, excommunicating the emperor. Although later, Empress eventually restored the use of icons, the conflict left great resentment against the Pope. Interestingly, Greek Orthodox churches are very ornately designed nowadays, far more aesthetically pleasing than the Roman Catholic counterparts. Ironic, since the split of the two churches came from the Byzantines saying, we don't want to use icons the same way. And now they use icons far better. They're much more aesthetically pleasing. In 1054, other controversies provoked a schism, or permanent split, between Eastern Greek Orthodox and Roman Catholic churches. The Pope and the Patriarch excommunicated each other. Thereafter, contacts between the two churches were guarded and distant. They treated each other as rivals rather than as branches of the same faith. They excommunicated each other, meaning they both have ultimate authority in their church. The Pope, European and very powerful European figure, said, "You're out, Byzantine Patriarch." And the Patriarch said, "Oh yeah? Guess what? You're out of our church. How about that?" Huh. That's what happened. Crisis and collapse. New heading. Crisis and collapse. By the time of the schism, the Byzantine Empire was declining. Struggling over succession, court intrigues, and constant wars undermined its strength. As in Western Europe, powerful local lords gained control over large areas. As the empire faltered, its enemies advanced. The Normans conquered southern Italy. Even more serious, the Seljuk Turks advanced across Asia Minor. A nomadic people of Central Asia, the Seljuks had converted to Islam on their migration westward. Crusades. We talked about these the past few days in the previous chapter. If you want to hear more about them, go there. If you want a quick overview, well, here is how it relates to the Byzantine Empire. The Crusades in the 1090s, the Byzantine Emperor called for Western help to fight the Seljuks, who had closed the pilgrimage routes to Jerusalem. Right. So that was like the starting fuse of the Crusades. It was, we can't worship at the Holy Land, Jerusalem. And Christians, whether they're Greek Orthodox or Roman Catholic, they both see the same, the Jewish faith as well. So Jerusalem, the Holy Land, it was barred from travel, so the Crusades started. That's one of the reasons why. Whatever. Very gruesome, not advocating for it, just kind of putting contextually what I just read into the way history worked, as told by the winners. As we know, that's what history books are. The result of the First Crusade during later... In the 1090s, the Byzantine Emperor called for Western help to fight the Seljuks, who had closed the pilgrimage routes to Jerusalem. The result was the First Crusade. During later crusades, however, trade rivalry sparked violence between the Byzantine Empire and Venice. Venetian merchants persuaded knights on the Fourth Crusade to attack Constantinople in 1204, so about 115 years later, after they were on the same side. For 3 days, crusaders burned and plundered the city, sending much treasure westward. Western Christians ruled Constantinople for 50 years. Although a Byzantine emperor reclaimed the capital in the 1260s, the empire never recovered. Venetian merchants gained control of Byzantine trade, draining the wealth of the empire. More threatening, the Ottoman Turks overran most of Asia Minor and the Balkans. Ottoman Turks. Constantinople falls. In 1453, Ottoman forces surrounded the city of Constantinople. After a siege lasting 2 months, they stormed the broken walls. When the last Byzantine emperor was offered safe passage, he replied, "God forbid that I should live an emperor without an empire." God forbid I should live an emperor without an empire. He chose instead to die fighting. Forces led by Ottoman ruler Muhammad II entered the city in triumph. The ancient Christian city was renamed Istanbul and became the capital of the Ottoman Empire, now known as Turkey. Istanbul, still known as Istanbul. Hagia Sophia was turned into an Islamic house of worship, and Istanbul soon emerged as a great center of Muslim culture. Hagia Sophia, was that a church? It was a church, right? Yeah. God's wisdom. Holy wisdom. Hagia Sophia. The Byzantine heritage, and this is the final section of the chapter. Of the section, rather. Final heading of the section. Although Byzantine power had faded long before, the fall of Constantinople marked the end of an era. To Europeans, the empire had stood for centuries as an enduring symbol of Roman civilization. Throughout the Middle Ages, Byzantine influence radiated across Europe. Even the Ottoman conquerors adapted features of the Byzantine government, social life, and architecture. What was the Byzantine heritage? For 1,000 years, the Byzantines built on the culture of Hellenistic world. Byzantine civilization blended Christian beliefs with Greek science, philosophy, arts, and literature. The Byzantines also extended Roman achievements in engineering and law. The arts. Byzantine artists made unique contributions, especially in religious art and architecture, that influenced Western styles from the Middle Ages to the present. Icons designed to evoke the presence of God gave viewers a sense of personal contact with the sacred. Mosaics brought scenes from the Bible to glowing life. In architecture, Byzantine palaces and churches blended Greek, Roman, Persian, and other Middle Eastern styles. And final subheading of the section, the world of learning. The world of learning. Byzantine scholars preserved the classic works of ancient Greece. In addition, they produced their own great books, especially in the field of history. Like Greek historians Herodotus and Thucydides, Byzantine historians were mostly concerned with writing about their own times. Procopius, an advisor to the general Belisarius, chronicled Byzantine campaign across Persia in his secret history. Procopius savagely criticized Justinian and Theodora. He called the emperor both an evildoer and an easily led into evil, never of his own accord speaking the truth. Anna Komnena is considered by many scholars to be the Western world's first important female historian. In the Alexiad, she analyzed the reign of her father, Emperor Alexius I. Komnena's book portrayed Latin crusaders as greedy barbarians. As the empire tottered in 1400s, many Greek scholars left Constantinople to teach at Italian universities. They took valuable Greek manuscripts to the West, along with their knowledge of the Greek and Byzantine culture, and work of these scholars contributed to European cultural flowering that became known as the Renaissance. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and remember that context is everything. I hope you have a good day, whether it's rain, sun, or dark of night.